Hello, my name's Jim and I'm a hockey coach. Today I'm talking to another hockey coach who's been phenomenally successful coaching, among other things, for Hampshire. It's Dave Mars. How you doing, Dave?
Hi.
Now, the reason why we're talking today is because, well, not straight away, but was it 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it
10
was,
days
yeah,
ago?
well, yeah, it was about 10 days ago.
You were quietly winning the county championship with Hampshire, both boys and girls.
Yeah.
So yeah, how did it go? What was the day like when you were up there? The weekend.
Well, the strange thing was it was in the middle of the week, but it was because it was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so a bit surreal in that regards anyway, because normally it's kind of Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the tournaments, but it was really good. Like it's obviously the first one in 25 years, so obviously they stopped doing the national county stuff early 2000s. So I think it was probably the last one was in 2001. I think maybe even earlier. So they brought it back, and going up, everyone was a bit tentative about it.
Bit of a voyage of discovery.
Yeah, I think so, because it's like you're talking to various counties that we're kind of in our own little bubble down here. So like we play in the Southern Counties Championship with Kent, Surrey, London, like Buckinghamshire, Berkshire. So we play each other all the time. There's 10 counties that we constantly play year upon year upon year. But when you move out of that bubble, you realise that there's another 30 odd counties that are out there with not as much hockey available, not as much opposition available, bigger travel distances, which puts a lot of barriers in place to play good kind of county level hockey. So this was an opportunity for those other counties and us to play outside of our bubbles.
And this was so boys and girls.
Boys and girls,
boys
yeah.
tournament, girls tournament, and it was listed as under 17. But how low down did you go? Is it meant to be like 2 years or 1 year? Or?
I think there was it being the first year. It was very much can you get a team home kind of thing. So we've prepped quite a lot for it within Hampshire. Like this has always been the end goal of kind of outside of the England hockey TA landscape. How can we offer better hockey for our players that don't get into that kind of elite level TA stuff?
Yeah.
So there's lots of players out there that don't get the opportunity.
And that's sort of the origin of the Hampshire Performance Program.
Yes, which, exactly.
We'll talk about it in a minute. But so first off, so we're up in Nottingham on a midweek day.
Yeah.
And you've got, so let's talk about the boys.
Yeah.
So me and Dave wrote the results down beforehand just so we'd know where we were. So the boys, they start off West Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Don't know them from Adam, nothing about them.
No.
The boys knock in a 3-0 win.
Yeah.
What do you remember from that game?
So there's always this kind of north-south divide that everyone says kind of north of Oxford, everyone plays a lot more physical. Like they were very physical. They were very fit. They were bigger than our boys. Like I don't know what they feed them off, but the boys they were. It was an interesting test. So it was more kind of a kind of technical ability within our lads. The Yorkshire lads were really technically good as well, but they were bigger, they were stronger, they were faster.
Did you? I mean, obviously you could see it, but in terms of the physicality, did you know that before, or was it something you had to?
Something you anticipate. I think I did the first. Like I said, there is this like unwritten thing that Northern hockey is a little bit more physical.
Is it?
Yeah. It's just like when you talk about it from a national league perspective, or when you're looking at it from a national junior perspective at club level. You always, when you're playing teams from the northern part of the country, especially on the boys' side of things, tend to be a bit more physical, tend to kind of, there's a bit more competition on the 50-50s, things like that. So we kind of anticipated that, me and the boys' league coach, so we were chatting about it the night before. But in terms of technical ability, there was not much between the teams. Actually.
And did you, so what kind of setup did you do with the players? So I guess you all arrive up in Nottingham, you get together, then you brief them, or how does it go?
So I was the head coach for the girls, and then we had Oakley did the boys. So we kind of, when everyone met up, got together, we set up camp for the weekend, put some gazebos up, so all set, and then we split into our teams, and the coaches just did a brief on how they wanted them to play. the most important thing, which is kind of the team building and the kind of the management of time, because you're playing 7 games in 3 days.
Yeah.
So it's not like turn up, play, have a bit of a jolly, have a mess around, and then they'll be done. It's kind of, you are, by the time you're coming off the pitch, you do your cool down, you do your debrief, you fuel up, and then you're pretty much ready to go. You're looking at a minimum of like an hour and 20 minutes between games, and then I think the most we had across the weekend was potentially 3 hours between games, but most of the time you're looking less than 2 hours between games, which is so it's not always about
that
tactical input, technical input.
Yeah.
It's more so managing your time, managing your body, managing your kind of energy levels. All that kind of stuff is almost more prominent than the tactical approach.
Because players, they just want to play, right?
Yeah, of
so
course.
as they walk off the pitch, you have to tell them no.
Yeah.
Sit down, drink water, don't do anything for 20 minutes.
Yeah, they want to go play cricket, and it was. Also we had random weather across the 3 days, but across the 3 days it was hot. Like you're talking 20 degrees plus every single day. One day was really, really hot, and then we had a little bit of cloud the next day, and then it was a little bit of rain. But ultimately, it was humid and it was hot. So then the water consumption and electrolytes and things like that they need to take on board to keep the energy levels going, because especially the second day, Wednesday, you're talking 3 games in 1 day. So which is great, and I think that is really important, because you think about it from logically, if they aspire to go and play at an England level or at a GB level, what are you playing all the time? You're playing tournament hockey.
Yeah.
So you're playing 3 games in 4 days, or
those habits become
exactly.
super
So and a lot of these kids would have not been exposed to a tournament style like that, where you're playing multiple games across days. Yes, they've played triangulars at county level. They'll play 2 games, 2 shortened games in 1 day, but then they're not playing another 3 the next day, and then another 2 the next day after that. So we're looking at building the camaraderie in the team, making sure that if one lad or one girl is not pulling their weight and not focused on the next game and the next game and the next game, that can come in house between the players rather than the coaches constantly being on people's backs. So you just set standards,
and it becomes kind of self-selecting a little bit, because if they're not kind of following the program, they're not going to be prepared to play. They're not going to perform well.
Yeah.
On style of play.
Yeah.
Did you have any kind of general messages in terms of what style of hockey that you wanted them to play?
Well, we set both me and Oakley sat down and chatted through it, and I set a base of what formation I wanted us to play. And then in terms of a style of hockey, we wanted to be kind of have control of the game, so like a retention-focused hockey style of hockey. So ultimately, when you're playing these 7 games across days, if you are constantly chasing the game and chasing the ball,
it's fatiguing.
Yeah, it just burns your energy levels completely.
So that was a tournament strategy: dominate possession, optimize energy consumption, make your opponent do the hard yards.
Yes, exactly. So
and was that? So you start with a 3-0 win. Was that part of it? They weren't able to go be physical because you were keeping the ball away from them.
Yes, and I mean the first game is always interesting. What you got to remember is these are
everybody's first game.
Yeah, so when you're looking at the sort of the complexities of the squad, a lot of the teams we were playing against were under 17 teams. So like county, So whereas we were, because we've had the performance centre stuff set up, the kids were drawn from 3 different age groups. So the girls especially, the girls had. So bear in mind, so under 17 is lower 6th. We had 8 year 10s playing.
Okay.
So very, very young squad compared to what they would have been playing against girls that were 2 years older than them. So, cause, like I said, because it's the first one, getting it up and running, making sure we could get squad out was the most important thing. Boys was a lot more top heavy in terms of they had a lot more under 17 and under 16s. Yeah. They only had 2 year 10s, whereas the girls was we just had to get a team out and we went with what was available basically. But the idea is that next year we will have, the idea is to run an under 17s and an under 15s, which makes the brackets different. And then, so obviously the ones that are in year 10 this year would have been under 15s rather than under 17s and would have played in a separate competition.
So, I mean, the results were, I mean, the reading of them is pretty fantastic. I mean, the boys played 7, won 7.
Yeah.
And there's only two goals conceded, one against Cambridge and one against West Yorkshire.
Yeah.
And the only close game seems to have been the final, which was a
really close. And
was it?
Surrey were dominant as well.
Were they?
Yeah.
So
I think I don't know about nicked it. I think what had happened is they had played each other earlier in the day, because the way the tournament format was, they played each other in the group phase earlier in the day, and then they had to play each other again about 2.5 hours later. Surrey made a lot of adjustments to the way they were playing to counteract Hampshire. So in the semi-final, not semi-final, sorry, in the first game they played Surrey, Oakley played a half-court press.
Okay.
So he sat them in deep, just absorbed pressure and hit them on the counter-attack.
Okay.
And then we had a chat, and he said, "Should I do it again?" I was like, "Well, that's completely up to you." But he went full court, so it just adapted it a little bit more. But Surrey came out and played a lot better in the final than they did in the group game. But also, as most coaches know, a well-executed half-court press is very, very difficult to break down. For a well-oiled team that train and play together week in, week out, it's difficult. For a team that's been thrown together 4 or 5 weeks before the tournament, even harder. So it was interesting. Actually, Oakley did really well to adapt and change what he was doing on the pitch, and I think it was deliberately done to kind of throw Surrey off a little bit. So from a
that was his thinking. We've just played them. They've just seen us do a half court, so let's chuck something else out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good. I mean, Oakley's a young lad. He's only 20.
Yeah.
I coached him at the club where I work for about 5 years before he went off to university. He's just come back and he's just started working.
Coach.
Yeah, he's really coach. Yeah, I've been really impressed with him this summer. It's really nice to see a lad that I've spent a lot of time working with in the past now come back from university, a man effectively, and he's obviously listened, taken on board. He was at Bath University, played for Bath Bucks, taken on a lot from the coaches he's worked with up there, and then come back and yeah, he's a fantastic coach. Really impressed with him.
And that, so I'm just sort of picturing the scene here where Oakley's now briefing the boys for the final, the Hampshire under 17s for the final, saying, right, you did your half court against Surrey, I know it worked, but now we need to change it because they'll be expecting that, so now we're going to go full court. That there's a good bit of trust in his players to execute his plan. I mean, is that how it went? Did he just go, right, boys, this is what we're going to do next?
No, I think there was a little more input than that. It was
but I mean, he had that. There wasn't any question about whether they knew how to do it or whether it was a good idea. It was just, let's do this.
You'd have to. I think he was confident in the group of boys. So obviously they'd never met Oakley before this as well. So they literally met him on Tuesday. So he hadn't done any of the performance stuff building up to this that I'd worked on, because he was finishing his exams at university and he'd been away on holiday. So he literally met the boys on Tuesday, and that's the beauty of these tournament styles. Like, you have 3 days to work with these kids. You have 3 days to imprint your principles and your ideas on the kids, and ultimately they're there to play hockey. They love what they're doing. If you give them good information, they'll retain that and they'll execute it. And you've got no other focus for those 3 days. It's kind of you're living in each other's pockets. Even when you're off the pitch, you've got time to do chats with the kids, 1-to-1, small groups, full squad. And ultimately, it's just hockey all the way through for 3 days. So there's no let off, and as long as you approach it in the right way, the kids are willing to learn, and you have a good rapport with the kids, ultimately you're going to come out with a positive result. And that's one of the biggest things. Right, exactly.
100% record and county champions.
And like I said, like I was amazing. I was really impressed with Oakley. The parents were, the kids loved him, and you get results from that.
Yeah.
So
okay. So the girls then, almost as good a record.
Almost. Yeah.
So they were 6 wins out of 7.
Yeah.
6 wins out of 7. And this was the team that you were coaching directly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're kind of
but they were my main focus. Yeah, I was focused on the girls. Yeah.
How did you? I mean, so you've spoken about the sort of between matches and stuff, but did you tweak your preparations for the girls team in any way? I mean, they're younger, maybe they're different skill sets or whatever. How did you go about that?
I think so. The girls was a very different approach to the boys. The boys and girls hockey are completely different animals anyway. Let's be honest. But my approach with the girls was more where we had quite a young cohort. The team building aspect of it became a lot more prominent, and trying to integrate them all into. They all had their own little bubbles and groups, whether it be club based, school based, whatever it may be. But kind of breaking down barriers and getting them cohesive.
So
took a couple of games.
That a little bit. What kinds of things did you do to help build the team? What kind of specific things?
So there's 2 or 3 things. One is you need to kind of embed my principles and what I expect of what's going on. At the same time, making sure that I picked 3 captains for the weekend. Making sure that they aren't of one social group or one school group. You've got one girl from there, one girl from there, one girl from there, making sure they're from different clubs, different social groups, different schools, and that they have the qualities they need to be leaders on the pitch and off the pitch as well. So they're all given responsibilities like making sure all the girls are involved, making sure that when they go away and do their cool downs, that they are doing it in a group, not individually, making sure that when they do social stuff in the evening, like because there's quite a lot of downtime in the evening because they had a curfew of kind of like 9:30, 10 o'clock to be in their rooms and go to sleep, but we were finished hockey at 6. So they've got 4.5 hours, 4 hours to kind of like get to know each other, go and do whatever they're going to do. So we just made sure that they were just trying to the captains would push to keep everyone together as much as possible, and that didn't always happen. Obviously, there's splinter groups and people would pop off in different guys, but overall, I think it was quite cohesive in making sure that they were kind of all together.
So what that to me that sounds like you want them to be in charge of themselves.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And your role is, hey, I'm here to help. Here is the structure I think we should follow. Here are the standards of behaviour I think you should adhere to.
Yeah.
But this is your team, your tournament.
It's almost like It's almost like there's my time as a coach, like the 45 minutes before the game time, the half an hour after the game. After that, it's over to the captains. So the captains have control of the pitch, obviously, and stuff like because there's only so much you can do from the sideline as a coach. But the captain's controlling stuff that's going on the pitch. There'll be my funnel for the rest of the girls if there's anything that I need to get across. But it's kind of I have my time, my kind of 2-hour space built around the game time, prep time, debrief time, and then it's over to the girls to kind of manage their time, keep their standards, and then because if I'm just on them like a drill sergeant the entire time, they just won't enjoy themselves. And the ultimate thing is like they've got to enjoy themselves because if they're not enjoying the 3 days, yes, they might be there to play hockey, but there has to be more than just the hockey because they have to enjoy the environment, they have to enjoy the group they're working with, they have to enjoy the interactions with me as a coach, and then they have to make sure that the downtime is filled with positive kind of exercises, talks. It's just don't want to get bored, exactly.
So that's the kind of not exactly the nuts and bolts, but that's kind of the what. So I was following this on the sort of text messages that were going on through the Hampshire group
Yeah,
and what have you. And it did seem like there was a bit of a progression from just, let's see what we get. Was the kind of, we're here, let's see what we can do, to, what, we're doing pretty well, to, I mean, we might walk off with this, to crikey, both teams might win.
Yeah.
And can you talk about that at all? Was there that kind of,
So
did you get excited about it as we
I think I expected the boys to do well, not to win. Like you never go in thinking you're going to win. So I always said, I think that there's you just don't know half the counties. Like you're going into an environment. It's not like where we're not talking like professional level sports here. We don't have video footage of it. We know the local counties. Outside of that, you're basically going in blind. So we're in a situation where we spoke to the kids before, and I was like, look, two key things. One, you're here to enjoy yourself, enjoy the experience, the environment. But the second thing is, kind of, we're here to compete. Like, so if we can get both teams into the semi-finals, then I think that's an achievement. And then anything after that is a bonus. I was like, if we can come out of our group in the top two, then we've done well. Like that means we're competing, we're doing well. And then for any coach that coaches, whether it be indoor, outdoor, tournament hockey, you just win the next game. So you just got to focus on the next game. Like some of the kids started talking about, the boys especially, when they realised that they were probably going to have to play Surrey twice on the last day. They were like overthinking it, and I was like, look, we've done it every single game. You've turned up, you've prepped, you've focused on your game, not the opposition. You've been given your directions by your coach and what he expects of you, and you've gone out and you've executed it. Nothing should change. Like yes, you like you said, Oakley adapted it with with the presses, which he did that deliberately, knowing that he'd be playing the same team twice in one day. So he had to kind of come with two different game plans, so it wasn't too easy for them to play against.
And was there a variation in the attacking play as well, or was that much more kind of attack space?
No, I think it was kind of create good connections, fluidity, making sure that they are playing through space. They had the luck of a couple of lads that could chuck some very big aerials, which have made a massive difference. Kind of getting himself out of pressure, but also because as soon as you knew one of the boys on the ball had that aerial, the attacking players were leaning away, creating big spaces in midfield. So he'd chuck it long once, and then he'd chuck it into the midfield because the forwards would go high, which would pull the defenders back, which would open up pockets in the midfield. So actually, some very intelligent play from some of the boys. I was really impressed about how they adapted and changed the way that they played based on like different stages of the game. And that came from them. It didn't come from coaching. It came from them and the way that they've adapted.
So that sounds like the tournament itself was quite the powerful learning environment.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think because like it keeps the kind of 6 to 7 games in 3 days. When like even at a club level, you play week by week, and then you get training sessions in between. But you don't often get an opportunity to play a game, right? Sit down, analyze, make changes, and go again. And that's not, and you don't do that based because you don't know the opposition. You might get a sneak peek of them playing on the other pitch or something like that. But ultimately, you are adapting the way you play to make yourselves better, rather than adapting to what the opposition is doing, because we don't have video footage and opportunity to watch them play. So obviously, when it came down to playing Surrey twice for the boys, and when the girls played Kent, and then the second time we played North Yorkshire, you'd obviously you have a bit more opportunity because you've played them before. You can change the way you're doing things.
That's right, because the boys played West Yorkshire twice and Surrey twice.
Yeah, and the girls played North Yorkshire twice.
And actually,
West Yorkshire. Sorry.
The boys played West Yorkshire twice. The results were, they won 3-0 and then they won 4-1.
Yeah.
So you could argue much the same.
Yeah.
I mean, much the same sort of indication of dominance or superiority, perhaps.
I think the boys especially, they had a very good base in their defensive unit. So they had 5 or 6 boys, which is you don't often get that at this kind of thing, because normally you'll get your better players will be the ones that play through the middle, play up top, because they get a lot more of the ball. But actually, they ended up with a really nice balanced squad. Like we the girls was kind of we were reaching out trying to get players in, whereas the boys we had to select, which was quite nice. So we balanced it on ages, and then I could look at when I was picking the squad. I spent 5 or 6 weeks working with the boys, and I was like, right, we can go through and pick a good defensive unit, a good midfield unit, and a good forward unit. And I think actually that had a really positive effect, that they had a really nice balance through the team and a good base of 6 defenders playing through the half-back. So they were able to rotate the half-backs. They were the centre-backs. They had 3 centre-backs rotating through 2 roles, which worked really, really well.
And if you were, well, talking about the girls for a second,
Yeah.
What was your kind of favourite game?
The girls,
Did you have a
semi-final.
And what was good about that? Why did you like it?
So Bucks.
Because you're straight in there, like you didn't have to think about it. Oh,
No,
semi-final.
So semi-final and the final. One, because of the jeopardy on it. Like,
I see.
Yeah. So with the early games, if you lose one, we can probably still like semi-finals, final. You lose, you're out. And I love, as a coach, I love that.
Okay.
The girls, not so much, obviously. Some of them eat it up, they love it. Some of them struggle with it. But that's when you start to learn.
I was going to say, looking at the team sheet, there are a couple of them I was thinking would be having the time of their lives under pressure. Yeah,
no, there was a couple of girls that shone. I was really impressed, and I think because of that, you start to make adjustments to your starting 11 and your rotations, where people were playing, how much pitch time they get. That we were quite good at making sure everyone got a decent amount of pitch time. But you have your strongest 11. You have your dead set swaps for swaps. But and also the thing with the girls was we adapted what we did on short corners because the short corners weren't working. I mean, it was a hot day. There was there were 3 sand-based pitches and 1 water-based pitch, so really sticky. The girls were really struggling to get positive outcomes on the short corners. But then we started to switch people in roles after a little bit of practice on one of the mornings. I think it was the Wednesday morning we went onto the pitch early, did a little bit of practice. But it's the same thing. It's like the girls, the teams have been thrown together at the last minute, so there's no cohesive short corner routines. We haven't practiced them. So it's kind of, we did a little bit of practice on Wednesday morning. We highlighted, so there was one girl, her injections were unreal. Like I've never seen, absolutely amazing. So once we realised that, she goes into the starting 11. So she was not in the starting 11 because of anything in particular. It was just
but that's such a big plus.
But that's a super skill.
Yeah.
Like and I mean, when I say good, I mean unreal. Like she, like the proper kind of step in, low drag, hard push, come out. It comes out straight every single. And as soon as we highlight that, I was like, she's got to start every single time. But then as she started, and then when she started starting the games, she really stepped up. She had a great engine on her. She was breaking down play. She was on the line to goal the whole time. She was playing in kind of a screen position, and so that's we started. It started to alter and change the front line to get different complexities with the players. So where the boys are doing tactical changes, mine was more with the girls was finding the right mixture of players based on the opposition we were playing. So we kind of we just played. The boys were doing man-to-man press, half-ball press, full-ball press, whereas the girls we stayed zonal, but just changed the pieces. On the board basically, based on where we're trying to press, where we're trying to win the ball, who we're playing against. So for the girls, so North Yorkshire, the only game we lost, they had one player who was phenomenal. She was one player of the tournament as well, really really good. Played centre back, came up for short corners, drag flicked on short corners, but also super composed, carrying the ball out the back, very very quick, very very aggressive in a ball carry, and it was the first player we'd come up against that was probably that level. What I spoke to the coach afterwards, congratulated the coach on the win and said, look, she's fantastic. And he was like, yes, well, she did TA for 2 years, didn't enjoy it, and came back to county. And she's an absolute asset to the team. I think she was top goal scorer as well. Top goal scorer from centre back. Top goal scorer for the tournament, player of the tournament, and she was phenomenal. She was really, really good. But obviously, we played them once, realised that she was a threat, and then we counteracted that in the second game by making sure she couldn't play. and ultimately got the win, which was great. But it was kind of she wasn't the only good player by the way. They had
the one game you lost
was against North Yorkshire, and that was they had that one player. But she was very, very good, but she also made everyone else around her better. So she was kind of putting people in, offloading the ball, going up for short corners, creating opportunity. I mean, the first game, although we had a lot of the ball, but they were better with the ball than we were. So, and even after the game, me and the Yorkshire coaches were chatting. He was like, "That the scoreline doesn't reflect the game. It'll be interesting to see what happens if we play you again later in the tournament." And it happened. So
it was interesting.
Yeah, we made me and the girls sat down and we chatted. We made some adjustments for personnel adjustments, also stylistically as well. The way we were playing, we were kind of trying to play more kind of connective hockey through the middle of the pitch rather than trying to. First game we were trying to play through the halfbacks and go up, and then I was like, no, actually, if we play through the lines and play through the middle of the pitch, and keep that going, and that way we've given our forwards more opportunities to get higher up the pitch, and the girls bossed it like that. And that was we made those adjustments for the Bucks game in the semi-final, and we had I don't know 80% possession. Like the girls
Wow.
absolutely boss. I was so impressed.
Yeah.
Like we just sat. I was just like, girls, like if we have the ball, they can't score. I was like, so if we can focus on making sure we control the game, we control the ball, and that we build and we build and we build and we build, the goals will come. Because on the first day we had struggled to score because it was very rushed and it was very kind of the connections weren't there because the girls were all new and put together. But they genuinely it just got better and better and better and better and better. And the semi-final and the final, because of the jeopardy and because of the increase in understanding and cohesiveness, they were the best games by far. Like they were so much fun. Semi-final was great, really, really good game. But the final was really, really close. And I think the tweaks we made is why we got the win.
3-1. Do you remember the scoring sequence?
3-1.
In the final.
Oh, it was 2-1.
Oh, was it?
It was 2-1. Yeah, 2-1.
Do you remember?
We went 2-0 up.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, we went 2-0 up, and then they got one back. But we were in control of the game again, so it was the same thing. It was like
it wasn't like hanging on.
No. Well, they put a lot of pressure on us in the last 10-15 minutes. They pulled the goalkeeper as well.
Okay.
So they pulled the goalkeeper with about 6 minutes to go. So it was a lot of pressure, and they scored. They scored probably with about 10 minutes to go, and then it was backs against the wall kind of thing. But the girls were defensively very, very good. But I mean, we only conceded, was it 4 goals?
Yeah,
4 goals. We had 2 girls that played centre back. We only
twice as many as the boys.
So with the girls, the boys had that base of 6 defenders. Yeah. We had 2. So we converted 4 players into halfbacks. Yeah, so we converted 4 players into halfbacks, and then we had, I think the centre backs, which was they were phenomenal all weekend, over the 3 days. Sorry, probably only had about 10 minutes off the pitch across 7 games.
Okay, that's tough.
But it's a lot easier when you're in control of the game.
Well, yes.
So playing centre back from a perspective of having the ball is draining. But if we are constantly defending the entire time, then yes, they're going to get exhausted. But actually, where the girls kind of were very, very good at controlling the games and this kind of retention-focused hockey that we were building, actually meant that they were comfortable. Like they were tired, of course they were. They just played 7 games across the days, and they got a little bit of respite at times when we were under the cusp quite a lot when we were playing the games where they were harder. But that's the difference when you've got a more balanced team. Whereas, like I said, the girls was kind of going around and trying to make sure we could get a team out. And we get there, and I look at the board, and I'm like, oh, no defenders.
Yeah, that's a common experience for me.
Yeah, so you go around the group, and you're like, right, anyone defensively minded, or is anyone maybe maybe fancy playing halfback?
Or and possibly it's your go,
but
your turn.
But from that, there was one girl that the op said, yeah, fine, I'll give it a go. She played left halfback, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Like she plays like kind of on the outside of the pitch anyway, on the left or the right wing. But she's aggressive in the tackle. She's hard to beat 1v1. She's got quite a nice physicality to her game. She was phenomenal, and like they've got a lot of positive comments and feedback from the other teams about how well she played from left half back. She'd never played there before.
Yeah.
So it opens her eyes into don't get pigeonholed into a single position.
I think it's too soon to tell. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really push too hard. Like in county coaching, somebody says, "Oh, I play here or I play there." I don't really push too hard to mess around with that unless I really need to. But the message that I'm nearly always pushing is, you can't possibly know what your best position is yet. It's too soon to tell.
Well,
you don't know how to play them all yet.
And they're all the best players at their clubs.
Yes.
So that's the thing. So 90% of them play centre midfield or somewhere in the prominent positions on the pitch, down the spine, because they're the stronger players. They're the ones that get put through into the DC, and then they come through into the AC, and then that's when I think it's the first line, the first platform, where they're given an opportunity to think outside of, I'm the strongest player, I've got to play in the centre of the pitch.
Yeah.
So you can be just as effective at right half back, or you can be just as effective at inside forward as you can at centre back or screen or centre forward. Like we had, so from the boys' side of things, there's one lad who plays up front for his club. He plays up front for me at college, and he was playing deep midfield for County, and he did a great job. He did an absolutely unbelievable job. He was fantastic. Yeah.
Actually, on the boys, so what was your favourite game from the boys' side? Were you able to watch the boys'
I watched a few, like because of the way the tournament was structured. We were alternate. There was only one game where we were playing at the same time, which was on the Thursday morning when they played Surrey and we played Bucks. But other than that, it was kind of go over, watch half a game, get back, get the girls prepped for the next game. But from the boys, trying to think.
Or maybe just a favourite moment that sticks with you.
Favourite moment? I don't know. There's no one individual moment, but I think the two areas I think that were so positive from the boys was one, their intent and their want to win. Like they built a really nice kind of group dynamic where once you play that first game and you win, what was it, 3-0? I think they won the first game.
Yep.
And the realization kicks in. It's like, oh, actually, like you said, like, we can win this.
Yeah.
It's like, and you're looking around, and you're looking at the old foes, Surrey, Kent, the ones that we play all the time. Yeah. You're looking at them, you're like, well, we're going to potentially end up playing Surrey, and then they start thinking, oh, in the county championships we lost 2-1 to them. It was really, really close. And then, so when you start talking about these things, but I think the realization when it kicked in, and they played that first game, they won 3-0, and then they played their second game, and then there was some chats in the evening on the after the first day, and they won both their first games, and the boys were sat around, and it was all very positive, and I think their intent to win and their want to win everywhere on the pitch, whether it be in the bottom right hand corner when they're deep defence and they're trying to win the ball back, or whether some guy's sprinting forward from someone who's just chucked a 50-yard aerial. The intent was there in everything they did, and you could see the passion that they were playing with. And it was the same to be said with the girls. So like, as soon as we got through the group phase and they realised they were in the semis, the kind of the air around the team and the idea of what they're doing changes. So like you said, it comes to the point where, oh, we have to win now. Oh, do we want to win it? Hell yeah, we want to win. Like, and that was one of the things from the girls that the boys had that anyway from the start. From after the first game, it was like, right, we're going to go and we're going to try and win this. The girls were all a little bit tentative, and I think that was because the boys knew each other a bit better. There was a lot more from the same age groups, whereas the girls was a real kind of mixed match. And then, but I think once they kind of built up the connections and the cohesiveness kicked in, we started to adapt things we were doing. Like I was learning how the girls play as well, so started to adjust where people were playing. And I think once they got through the second day and they realised they qualified for the semis, we had a chat after dinner on the Wednesday night, and then another like kind of chat in the morning before the game. And there was definitely a different mood around the team, and that's when the attitude of the boys, I think, had kind of gone into the girls as well. Like they were like, we can win this, we want to win this, and the fight all over the pitch. Especially there was 4 or 5 of the girls. I was just all of them did great, but there was 4 or 5 that kind of pushed the standards, which was lovely to see, like the work rate and the intensity, and like when we put Bucks, we literally pinned them back for ages. We couldn't score. It was like just pounding away, just whack, 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 and then we'd win high ball, high turnover, get in the circle, win a short corner, miss the short corner, set back up, win the ball, high turnover. It was just constant. And then when we scored, like just this eruption of just emotional bliss, I suppose.
Yeah.
And also, oh, finally, like kind of thing. So but they had so much. They were fantastic in the semi-final. So good.
Bucks. Was that also? Could you see the Bucks balloon popping a bit at that point as well?
I think yes, but also I don't think they expected us to come out so hard. The girls, like I said, they really, the levels that they just kept leveling up constantly. And I think the loss against North Yorkshire was part of that, because they come off the pitch and like, oh, okay, now we need to concentrate. How can we change things? Yeah. It just all goes on from there. But it's not just from me. It's from, like I said, you have these 3 captains there that they need to keep the girls like in a group and understand and push standards that I've set, that they've set as well. Like, and I think as soon as they got through that final game, we played Essex last game on the Wednesday, and we just needed to win. We needed a win or a draw to go through, and we scored a couple of early goals, and then it was like, okay, girls, you can chill now. We're through to the semis, so we took the foot off the gas a little bit, and the girls came off the pitch, and then I think it was the realisation. I was like, right, it's kind of, we've got to win now. We're going to go through. And I think where the boys have been so dominant as well, like they've smashed through there, like not really challenged. Well, they've been challenged, but when you look at the results, it looked like they were going quite easy going, but they were just playing fantastic hockey. And then the girls were feeding off that energy that the boys had had, and then it just hit a peak in the semis against Bucks. It was really, really good. And like I keep saying, something that these girls, a lot of these players wouldn't have experienced before, because they've not been through a tournament like this. They've not like had this kind of build up all the way through, where you kind of play the next game, win it, play the next game, win it. Oh, we had a bit of setback. We lost that 3rd game. Doesn't matter. Wipe it from the brain. On to the next game. So we'll make up for it in the final, or we'll play them in the final. That was kind of and that came from the girls, not from me. It was like, oh, we lost. It's fine. We'll probably end up playing them in the final or the semi. So let's just, well, we can play them in the semi. Like, if we're going to play them again, we'll play them in the final, and we'll beat them then. And that came from the girls. That didn't come from me. It came from the girls. Like, the first time we came off the pitch, one of the captains was like, we'll just beat them in the final. And I was like, okay.
But you say that. You say it came from the girls, and yeah, it did. But it came from the girls in the environment that you've provided them with the structure that you've given them. Like, so your opening bid is, here are 3 captains. You are responsible for your performance, and in that environment, given that license, given that what's the word I'm searching for? Give us a second. It's not the peripheral. I got it. Given that agency.
Okay.
That's the word I was searching for.
We'll go with that.
Given that agency, they thrived.
Yeah. And
they started to add to, like you say, here's the minimum requirement, and then they start thinking to themselves, well, actually, we want to go a bit beyond the minimum requirement. It's a brilliant achievement. I mean, that's just fantastic. As I was watching it happen, I was just sort of throwing beams. Oh, they've won again. Oh my God, they've won again. So yeah, it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. Well done, mate. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was great. It was, and the whole overriding thing of this, it's not our achievements. It's not. It's the fact that it's happened. Like, in terms of how that tournament was the brainchild of radar. Literally a year ago, in kind of May time, we were sat down at lunchtime. We'd been coaching together. He was like, "I've got this idea. I want to do this." And I was like, we went through. He showed me a PDF. He had some ideas, and I was like, "It's a great idea." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like 2 years time, get that up and running. It'll be amazing." I get a phone call. So that was in May. We did some more coaching together over June. I get a phone call at the end of August. Right, Dave, it's happening. And I was like, "What's happening?" It was like National County Championships, and I was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, and he was like, I was like, "That's amazing, great. Well, let's get planning." He was like, "Well, no, it's going to happen this June or this July." And I was like, so it's like an 8-month turnaround from nothing to happen.
Yeah.
So just it's unreal how fast it came about.
And it's I hear, I don't know if this is right, but I hear that there was a bunch of counties who didn't put a team in, who on the back of it have said, "Oh no, we'd love to compete."
I think so. So like forecast for next year. So we did under 17s as a pilot this year to kind of go with it. Overwhelming kind of support and feedback from the tournament. There was a few hiccups. There's going to be it's a learning process, but overall, I think it was so positive. The reaction, the experience, the tournament. I think he said he's already had about 60 expressions of interest next year.
60.
So 60. So across 2 age groups, boys and girls.
Okay.
So we've got 19 teams this year. Whether all those 60 teams come to fruition, you never know, do you?
Yeah, so still, that's 60. I'm going to go with 60 is more than 19.
Yeah. So potentially, so it's going to be twice the size, if not 3 times the size next year. And there's a lot of learning opportunities from an organisational point of view and from us as a county and how we approach it. We've already started planning. So one of the nice things was a couple of the counties were giving out pennants before. So
to exchange,
like back in the 90s when we used to do it when we were kids. So like Jersey and Essex. I've got the pennants at home. I thought it was a really nice touch, and I talked about it, and I was like, what would be really good if everyone gave pennants? And I didn't think anyone would do it, but actually when they gave them out before the game, I thought,
we should have done that.
That's amazing. We've already ordered ours for next year. Right? So
of course you have.
And just little things like branded gazebos and having pride in your county again.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the problem with the TA stuff and the England hockey stuff is you're there for a reason. You're there to perform. You're there, but
it's transactional.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas I feel like there's still a certain amount to be said about being proud from where you're from, and representing where you're from. And I think from a county perspective, Hampshire born and raised myself, I played county when I was a kid. I loved it. And I think it's kind of been lost in the last couple of years when it all kind of changed with the regionalisation, and then England hockey switched from performance centre to TA, and then county hockey was kind of left to its own devices. I feel like this now, with what they've done this year and moving forward, it's just offering more opportunity for players that won't get these opportunities at TA or even at their clubs. So like some that come from smaller clubs that don't qualify for national finals or do all these big tournament things. It's kind of it's in a really healthy spot to be massive. And I think that this year was the perfect building blocks for what could be something huge in the coming years.
Can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, no, me too.
Okay, thanks a million, mate.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Cheers.
Let me switch everything off.